Welcome to day 77 of the 90-day No PMO system. Today you will learn how to find a high quality woman. That said, how do you go about finding a high quality woman? There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding this sentiment of finding a high quality woman or what constitutes a high quality woman. So really, the first thing we need to do is assess our own assessments. What a lot of men do, especially young men, because they don't see the big picture, what a lot of young men like to do is they like to assess women primarily based on their looks. And while we are visual creatures, and while there may be some biological credence to this form of assessment, and while looks should be a factor in your search for a woman, they should not be the only factor. And we are no longer in a primal state of existence. Perhaps if we return to a primal state of existence, that can become more of a defining metric in your search for a woman. But you have the ability of discernment. In other words, you can think logically. And this is what you're going to have to do if you want to be successful with both business or whatever your purpose entails and women. If you want to be successful in both at the same time, it is imperative that you find the right type of woman. A lot of men, they go out looking for these really good looking women, but then they don't understand how they look on the inside. And they don't really get that until she leaves with 50% of everything that he's worked for, that she literally just walked into his life, finessed, and then left with. And then they want to play the victim and join these red pill communities. Once again, I'll talk more about red pill next week. But if you don't want to be one of those people who gets finessed like that, you need to learn to assess women holistically. Okay, assess women holistically, not just their looks. What does this mean? When I say assess women holistically, what I mean is you need to assess every aspect of them as a person. You don't live with their looks. You do not live with a woman's looks. You live with her personality. You will adapt to the way that she looks. There are a lot of good-looking women out there, and there will always be more that you aren't even aware of. But ultimately, you're not living with the looks, you're living with the personality. Again, looks should be a factor, but not the factor. The factor should be her personality, because her personality can and will determine how far you get on that road to your dream life, your better life, and your better you. Okay, you get around the wrong woman, and rest assured that you will never see that dream life into fruition. And then, ironically, she'll leave you because you're not providing her with the life that she wants. Okay, this is the cycle of picking the wrong people to be in your circle. Once again, target audience is important. It is of utmost importance in terms of building your circle, i.e. your mastermind, in terms of putting together your sales and marketing strategy and building an offer for people, an offer to provide value, and in terms of your romantic life, your romantic endeavors. It's of utmost importance and it's not to be overlooked. That said, how do you find the one? How do you find a woman who is actually of the caliber that you need in your life? Well, you don't need in your life per se, but you want in your life in order to progress much faster than you currently are. Well, the woman that is going to fit that criteria is more often than not the one that you overlook. The one that you overlook. What do I mean by that? The one that you overlook is the woman who already wants you. So in other words, instead of thinking about the girls that you want to be with, think about the girls who want to be with you. That should be your first criteria right there. Because once again, when we talk about target audience, there has to be an inherent and intrinsic desire for your product, which is in this case, you, within that target audience. If I were to promote the 90-day No PMO system to women between the ages of 75 and 84, I would probably be the first person in history to get more refunds than sales, meaning that people would literally request refunds before they even purchased the product because they would think it was so useless. And in the same way, if you market yourself to the wrong types of women, women who aren't interested in you, who don't have an inherent interest in what you have to offer, then you're not going to see any results. Or if you do, it will likely be for the sake of manipulation. They will likely have nefarious intentions in mind. Now, another good way to define if a woman is high quality or not is whether or not she's willing to stay through difficult times. Just like I was talking about in yesterday's lecture, is she willing to stand there under that umbrella with you when it's raining? Or will she go to the comfort and security of somebody else's house, another man's house at that? Of course, this is just an analogy, a metaphor, but there is a lot of truth to this idea. Okay, whenever you go through the inevitable low points in your life, because you're going to go through low points, even though you're on no PMO, even though your money's up, even though you have your dream body, you're still going to go through low points. Some of my lowest points came when I was, on the surface, the most successful. Those were some of my lowest points in life, because you no longer have the desire to distract you from the fact that you're not content with your life. And you realize that no achievement is going to replace the contentment that you're searching for within. But we've talked more about that up to this point in terms of having presence, because ultimately that's all you want, and that's all you want in a relationship as well. And so you have to have a woman who's willing to be present with you, present for you even at times, through those difficult seasons, because they will come, they will happen. Is she going to stick around? Now, the truth of the matter is that the only way to figure this out is to battle test her. You have to battle test her, and this shouldn't be artificial. This should be legitimate. For me, for example, I know that my girlfriend is battle tested because she was my friend for 4 years before we started dating. And through those 4 years, she was the person who was the most consistently in my corner, no matter what was happening in my life. Before I even started making YouTube videos, before any of this was able to happen, before any of the success or status or validation, before I even started focusing on looks maxing, she was there. And when I got to the tippy top of the mountain that I was climbing at that point, she was there. When I fell all the way off that mountain into a hole that was even deeper than where I started, she was there. She was battle tested. And those 4 years told me everything I needed to know about how solid of an individual she was. I knew from seeing how she responded to those situations that as long as I treat her right, she will always be by my side. And I do intend to treat her with the utmost love because of that, because she was there. And when you find a woman who will stick with you through those difficult times, you will want to do the exact same thing. Not just for the sake of the relationship or because you're afraid of losing her, but because the law of reciprocity makes it so. Because she gives so much to you, you're going to want to give more to her. And then because you give more to her, she's going to want to give more to you. And thus, the cycle, the transaction of romance is initiated. But we'll talk more about that in tomorrow's lecture. For now, the next thing you need to know about finding a high quality woman is that she has to be growth oriented. Why does she have to be growth oriented? Because you're growth oriented. If you want to get to that destination, you have to be with somebody who also wants to get to that destination. What a lot of people do is they stop along the way. They stop somewhere along the way because their partner doesn't want to get here. They don't want to get to the destination. They don't want it bad enough. And look, there will be times when you don't want it bad enough, and her motivation will give you the extra fuel that you need in order to get to where you want to go. But the point that I'm making is that you have to be with somebody who's growth oriented. Otherwise, the first time you go through that adversity, even if it's just internal adversity, especially if it's just internal adversity, she is going to be an enabler. She will become an enabler, and she will project her complacency onto you. Oh, well, what's the point of starting that business anyways? Why don't you just go ahead and get a nice stable job and we can live a nice happy life with each other? They'll start to say things like that. And that's how you know that you're not looking in the same direction. You're not looking in the same direction. You're looking ahead and she's looking in the rearview mirror. That doesn't work. That does not work. Somebody's way, somebody's sense of direction is going to have to give, and it's not going to be yours. So what does that mean? Exactly. Okay. Get with a woman who is growth oriented, and you'll know she's growth oriented if she stays through the difficult times. If she stays through the difficult times, she perseveres through the rain under that umbrella with you. Or even if you don't have an umbrella, she's willing to sit there and get soaking wet in the rain with you. Then rest assured that you have a growth-oriented woman by your side, because you know that she sees the ultimate outcome of all of the sacrifices that you're making and all of the discomfort that you're experiencing. Get with a growth-oriented woman. Now, back to the idea of that transactional exchange of energy. The next defining metric that you need to use in order to filter out the high quality women from the low quality women is that she reciprocates your energy. She will reciprocate your energy. If you're with a high quality woman, she is going to reciprocate your energy every single time. She's going to reciprocate. When you give, when you focus on giving, which is the nature of masculinity, by the way, when you give, she is going to receive, for one. So you know she's part of the right target audience because she wants to receive what you have to give. But then she will give even more in return than you give. So she will return your energy with interest so that you can then do the same. And this, in practicality, in more practical terms, looks like you, let's say, for example, showing her that you're interested in her, showing that you do care about her, and her showing that she cares about you. And it sounds so simple. You're like, well, Jordan, that's obvious. Well, why do so many young men, maybe yourself included, get with women who don't do that? Why do you settle for women who choose to ghost you or flake on you all the time? That doesn't sound like a good transaction. Once again, if you are investing your money into a stock or an index fund or a cryptocurrency that doesn't give you anything in return, why would you keep putting your money into it? And yet that's what you keep doing. Why? For what? It's because you don't understand the transaction of romance. And coincidentally, that is exactly what you will learn about in tomorrow's lecture. I hope you're ready. So that was just one out of 191 exclusive videos in my coaching program. If you want to unlock the rest of those videos and attend weekly coaching sessions with yours truly, then be sure to click the link in the description so that you can get your dream body, get your dream girlfriend, and make freedom your lifestyle.